Welcome back to this video series about how we supported our son through a surgery called the modified Ravitch procedure for a combination case of pectus excavatum and pectus carinatum. And just a reminder that we did travel out of state to have this procedure done, so I'll be referencing hotels in the process. This video details what we purchased in order to support our travel and our stay at the hospital and our well-being during the procedure itself and the recovery. So I've listed the items in order of importance, and I'm going to give a little bit more detail about why we purchased them. First up, like gold, was our sleep masks. These were critical to be able to use not only in the evening when the hospital lights were still shining bright with little machine lights on all the time, but also during the day when our son was trying to get some rest and we still needed to read or entertain ourselves in the process. So sleep masks are our number one purchased item and coveted item from that time. And speaking of light, the next up would be our blue light blocking glasses. Now these we wore in the evening to help relax ourselves and tone it down as we moved into sleep. This was super helpful as there was a lot of screen time. So in order to help continue with that melatonin production and moving into a restful sleep, putting those glasses on once the sun started to go down was helpful in relaxing our bodies. The other thing that was helpful in relaxing our bodies was the Apollo Neuro. Now, I had mentioned this in previous videos about how it is a touch therapy device that assists your body in calming your stress. And I already use the Apollo Neuro every day, and so it became a critical piece of supporting my body, both while my son was in surgery, as well as trying to get sleep in the hospital. This is also something that he requested regularly once we returned home, and he was no longer on those stronger medications that made him sleepy to support him in his sleep. Next up, we have slippers. A good friend of mine purchased these as a gift for me, and they were so important in the hospital. Super easy to slip on and off as I had a lot of getting up and sitting down in supporting my son, refilling his water, helping him with barometer practice, helping him change his show, cut his food. The list is endless. So slippers were a super important thing that allowed me to just quickly get up and move around the hospital, and they were super easy to throw in the wash when I returned home. So because I'm a little bit of a coffee connoisseur, I brought my own coffee with an AeroPress coffee maker. So this was super simple to use for the family room that had a refrigerator and hot water and things like that to prepare my coffee in the morning. And I just was happy to be able to have a little taste of home with me during the 4-night, 5-day hospital stay. Something else that was supportive was having 2 toiletry bags for myself. So one that I kept at the hospital and one that stayed at the hotel. So there was not any sort of having to lug things around back and forth between locations when I moved about. And of course, I had one for my son that stayed at the hospital. Next up, as he moved into preparing to go home, something that was super important for him and continued to be important in his recovery was a pair of slip-on sneakers. This was especially important because he could not be leaning over. So being able to stand and slip on sneakers or sit and slip on sneakers were very helpful for, I would say, a good 3+ months that he wore them. Something else that we utilized. So we brought the slip-on sneakers to the hospital. We also brought a button-down shirt and a zip front hoodie. It was cold in our area when he had the surgery, so it was important to be able to have warmer clothing and easily accessible clothing. So moving into his recovery and our return home, we continued to use those slip-on sneakers, the zip front hoodies, the button-down shirts, and I also purchased button-down front pajamas that were very easy for him to get on and off. And speaking of sleep, we purchased a non-toxic wedge pillow to help support him in that elevated position that he needed to sleep in for an extended period of time. Now, I mentioned this in the recovery video. One thing I wished I'd have purchased ahead of time was also just a whole host of extra pillows, because the wedge pillow wasn't quite the height that the hospital had requested he sleep at. So we utilized a number of pillows. I want to say about 7 additional pillows. So it would have been great to have had those already available when we returned home, because I did find myself running out to purchase them the day we returned. Next up, one other thing that helped support the sleep process in recovery was Alexa. We linked 2 Alexas and used them as an intercom so that my son could easily call us and request help in getting up to use the bathroom or getting up in the AM. And lastly, it's 2 shower items that helped assist in my son's recovery. A shower head with detachable sprayer that allowed him to wash himself without lifting his arms above his head, and a shower stool that allowed him to take that shower while seated and sturdy. So there you have it. Those are the top items that helped support our son and ourselves during his surgery and recovery. Thank you.